Om Agyantimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutaha Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamishta Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swamiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Ashtatadeshatarine Vancha Kalpatarubhishta Kripa Sandhubevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo Hare Ramo 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So welcome all of you all for our Harinam Chintamani class. So we'll continue our discussion on this third chapter called Nama Bhas. So we had stopped in text 53. The subtopic is Nama Bhasa o Nama Aparadera Bhed. Difference between Nama Bhas and offensive chanting. So we'll read from this verse on. Ataiva Nama Aparada Parihari Nama Bhasa Kare Yei Tare Nati Kari. I offer my respectful obeisances to anyone who, avoiding the offenses to the holy name, performs Namabhas chanting of the holy name. So here it says Namabhas kare ei tare nati kari. That means, just one second. Yeah. So that means Haridas Thakur is saying here that I offer obeisances to anyone who is trying to avoid the offenses and trying to chant. So the difference between Nama Parad and Nama Bhas is, in Nama Parad, you commit offenses consciously, right? But in Nama Bhas, you're trying to avoid the offenses. That is the difference. So in one, you're committing offenses, and in the other, you're trying your best to avoid the offenses. So here Haridas Thakur is saying, anyone who is trying to avoid the offenses and performs Namabhas, I offer my obeisances to such a person. Karma Jnana Haite Ananta Shreshtatara Bali Namabhase Jani Ohe Sarveshwara. O Supreme Lord, I declare that Namabhas chanting is endlessly better than karma or jnana. So Haridas Thakur is telling Lord Chaitanya, O my dear Lord Chaitanya, O Supreme Lord, I declare that Namabhas chanting, even if not on the Shuddha level, not on Shuddha Nam, even this Namabhas chanting is much better than Gyan and Karma. So that means even if someone is sincerely trying to avoid offenses, such chanting is much better than Gyan and Karma. Who is telling this? Haridas Thakur, who is the Nama Acharya. So this is Haridas Thakur's faith, and this is the science of the holy name. I think we were discussing this point that when Haridas Thakur was giving this pravachan on the glories of the holy name in the house of Govardhan Majumdar and Hiranya Majumdar, he was explaining the same thing, that Namabhas chanting also is so powerful. What to speak of Shuddha Nam, just Namabhas chanting is far better than Karma Jnana. And Mukti is attained very easily even by Namabhas stage. So at that time, there was a Brahmana called Gopal Chakravarti. So he became very envious of Haridas, and he started to blaspheme Haridas, saying that, how can you say this? How can you say that Mukti you get just by chanting Namabhas. But he didn't understand the glories of the holy name. Therefore, we will come to this point that Shraddha, faith is something that is very important. So only one who has faith can understand these topics very properly. Rati Moola Shraddha Yadi Shuddha Bhave Haya Tabete Vishuddha Nama Haibe Udaya. If by Namabhas chanting one attains faith, which is the root of attraction to Lord Krishna, then the chanter will be purified. Rati Moola Shraddha Yadi Shuddha Bhave Haya. That means if someone chants even on this Namabhas level, he will gradually attain this faith in Krishna. Rati Moola Shraddha. So Rati means attraction for Krishna, a prem for Krishna. So the root of that prem is Shraddha, faith. So this faith comes even when someone continues on this Namabhas level, and gradually his anarthas go away, that faith will become much more strong. So initially it is Ado Shraddha, and then after Anartha Nivriti, it becomes Nishtha, very strong faith. Pure chanting of the holy name will be manifest before him. So when the chanter is purified, so that means after Anartha Nivriti, what comes? Nishtha, steady faith, right? And then Rati and everything will come. So the path to pure chanting is through Namabhas chanting only. So first there is Namaparad, we commit offenses. Then the next stage is we try our best to avoid offenses. And then we come to Shuddha Nam. So now Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Haridas Thakur explain two kinds of Namabhas. Chaya o Pratibimb Bhede Abhas Dui Prakar Chaya Namabhas. Two kinds of light in Namabhas. Chaya, shadow, and Pratibimb, reflection. So, we were discussing that chart last time that Namabhas has two categories. One is called Ashraddha Namabhas and Shraddha Namabhas. In Ashraddha Namabhas, someone is chanting the names of God but doesn't have any faith in it. So what are the four categories in Ashraddha Namabhas? We saw this. Stoba, Helan, Parihasa, and Sanketa. These are the four kinds of Ashraddha Namabhas. Someone without any faith, even if he chants, that is called Ashraddha Namabhas, he will also get benefit. But better than Ashraddha Namabhas is Shraddha Namabhas. And Shraddha Namabhas has two categories, Chaya Namabhas and Pratibimb Namabhas. So we will discuss these two categories in detail. These are very important concepts to understand. Abhas Dvida Haya Pratibimb Chaya Shraddha Namabhas Dviprakara Sabatava Maya. So Abhas. So Abhas means light, dim light. So Abhas means dim light is of two kinds, Pratibimba, reflection, and Chaya, shadow. So these are Sanskrit or Hindi words, right? So Abhas means dim light. So this dim light has two categories. Pratibimba. Pratibimba means reflection. Just like we see our Pratibimba in the mirror, reflection. Or you see the reflection of the moon in the water, Pratibimba. That's reflection. And then there is Chaya. Chaya means shadow, right? So these are two kinds of Abhas, Pratibimba and Chaya. When faith is like a dim light, Shraddha Abhas, it is of these two kinds, reflection and shadow. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur is introducing a lot of different terminologies, but these are very simple terminologies actually to understand. So there is Shraddha. Shraddha means faith. When that faith is dim, it is called Shraddha Abhas, right? So this Shraddha Abhas has two categories, Chaya Abhas and Pratibimba Abhas. So that means Shraddha Namabhas has two categories, Chaya Abhas and Pratibimb Shraddha Abhas, right? And then we saw Ashraddha Namabhas as four categories, Stoba, Hela, Parihasa, and what is the fourth one? Sanketa. Four kinds of Ashraddha Namabhas, correct? So now he's going to discuss these two things in detail, Chaya Namabhas and Pratibimba Namabhas. Chaya Shraddha Abhase Chaya Namabhas Hoya Ei nama bhase jivera shubha prashavaya. So he says, from chaya shraddha bhas, the shadow of faith, comes chaya nama bhas, the shadow of the holy name. Okay? So shraddha bhas means dim faith. Faith is there but very little. It's called shraddha bhas. So shraddha bhas has two categories we saw, chaya and pratibimba. So from chaya shraddha bhas, what comes? Chaya nama bhas. So anyone who chants with chaya shraddha bhas, the holy name that he chants is called chaya nama bhas. Sei nama bhasere jivere shubha prashavaya. By this kind of nama bhas brings auspiciousness to the individual soul. So which kind of nama bhas? Chaya nama bhas. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur in the footnote is going to explain the difference between chaya nama bhas and pratibimba nama bhas. So what is recommended and what is appreciated and recognized in the scriptures is chaya nama bhas, not pratibimba nama bhas. What is the difference between two? Bhaktivinoda Thakur is going to write here in the footnote. It's a very long footnote, but a very important footnote. So please try to understand and pay attention. In many places in the scriptures are found the words nama bhas. So in various scriptures, you'll find this word called nama bhas. So nama bhas means faint or dim light of the holy name. Correct? So we saw this, that the holy name is like the sun, the Shuddha Nam. But when it is reflected through the clouds, right? When that light becomes very dim, it is called nama bhas, right? Similarly, Vaishnava bhas. What is Vaishnava bhas? A person who is a dim light of a Vaishnava. Okay? So there is nama bhas. Nama bhas means dim light of Nam. Nam is there, but not in its full glory. Similarly, there is a terminology called Vaishnava bhas. That means dim light of a Vaishnava. He is a Vaishnava, but not fully a Vaishnava. That light is still dim, right? Like Srila Prabhupada, one time in ISKCON, devotees were fighting, and devotees were telling Srila Prabhupada that, just see, that devotee is doing this to me, that Vaishnava is doing this to me. So Prabhupada said, in ISKCON, there is only one Vaishnava, only one devotee, that is me. All of y'all are trying to be Vaishnavas, correct? So that means, who's a Vaishnava bhas? A person who is trying to be a Vaishnava, dim light of a Vaishnava. Similarly, there is Shraddha bhas, dim light of faith. Faith is there, but when that faith is very less, it is called Shraddha bhas. Similarly, there is Bhava bhas, dim light of ecstasy, Ratya bhas, dim light of attraction to Krishna, Prema bhas, the dim light of pure love for Krishna, and Muktya bhas, the dim light of liberation, and other words like them. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur is explaining, what does Abhas mean? To any word, you put the word Abhas, that means the light becomes dim. So there is Shraddha bhas, there is Nama bhas, there is Mukti Abhas, there is Bhava bhas, there is Vaishnava bhas, like that, right? So Nam, the Shuddha Nam means full name. When the light becomes dim, it is called Nama bhas. He continues, in this matter, the word Abhas, dim light, is very appropriate. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying the word Abhas is a very appropriate word. These words are discussed in this chapter. So the Nama bhas, this concept of Abhas is discussed in this chapter. Abhas is of two kinds. Swarupa Abhas, direct dim light, and Pratibimb Abhas, reflected dim light. Okay? So Swarupa Abhas means it's actually Chaya Abhas, right? Direct light, but it is dim. Pratibimb means reflected light. Just like the sun may be there, but when the sun is covered by the cloud, what happens? You can see the sun rays, but very dim. So this is called Swarupa Abhas or Chaya Abhas. But when the sun is reflected on the lake, in that lake also you can see the sun, but that is called reflected light. It's called Pratibimba Abhas. In Swarupa Abhas, direct light is dimly manifest. Okay? In Swarupa Abhas, direct light is dimly manifest. An example of this is the dim sunlight manifest when the sun is covered by clouds. So an example of Swarup Abhas is what? When the sun is covered by clouds, the light that comes filtered through the clouds is called Swarup Abhas, the dim light of the sun. In Pratibhimbabhas, the light is reflected. So it is a reflection. So these are, concepts, analogies to help us understand this concept of holy name properly. Okay? So what is Pratibhimbabhas? Sorry, just 1 second. Yeah. So Pratibhimbabhas is the light is reflected. It originates in the place different from where the shining is seen to come. Okay? So in Swarupabhas, you see the light, but it is coming through a cloud. But that covering is just near that source. But in Pratibhimbabhas, what happens? The light that you see is reflected in a different place. The source, the sun is in a different place, but the reflection of the sun is in a completely different place. Therefore, it is said, Abhasu tu mrisha buddhir avidya karam uchyate. A distorted reflection of reality is called ignorance. So, a distorted reflection of reality is called ignorance. Just like we are discussing in the Bhagavatam, in our Krishna book series, we were discussing this example of Vasudev giving these teachings to Kamsa. Same, exactly the same teachings, right? So he gives this example of a moon. The moon is in the sky, but the reflection of the moon is seen in the pond or in a lake. Correct? So actually, the moon and the reflection are very far away. But when that moon identifies with the reflection, it comes under ignorance, because it identifies with something which it is not. Basically, it's identifying with the reflection. So similarly, when we identify ourselves with this body, with this pratibimba, then all this misery comes. So that's why Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying here, a distorted reflection of reality is called ignorance. What is ignorance? Distorted reality. So when the moon, the reflection of the moon falls on the pond, and sometimes when the wind blows, you will see that the reflection gets distorted. And if the moon identifies with it, what it will think? It will think that I am getting distorted, I am changing. But the moon doesn't change. What changes? The reflection. So ignorance basically means to identify with something else. Okay? What is the definition of Maya? Maya means that which is not. We identify with this world, we identify with this body, with our mind, with our senses, which are always changing. And this is pratibimba, reflection. And because of this, there is ignorance. So we'll read this, we'll finish this footnote, and then we will open up for question answers or discussions before we go ahead. Because as I told you, this one chapter in this book is a little technical chapter. It's not difficult. I will not say it's difficult. It's easy to understand. We just need to understand a few concepts, right? But because there are a lot of terminologies used here, new terms that come here, it may appear to be a little difficult to understand. Therefore, pratibimbahabhas is like light reflected on water. Okay? So we saw one example of Swarupa or Chaya Abhas. What is that? When the cloud covers the sun, that example is called Chaya Abhas or Swarupa Abhas. But when the sun is reflected on water, that is called Pratibimba Abhas. When it is covered by clouds or fog, the sun of the holy name can be seen only dimly. Okay? So when clouds or fog, so we saw at the start of this chapter, if you all remember, we saw what covers the Shuddha Nam? Two things, fog and clouds. Clouds are like the anarthas are compared to the clouds, and ignorance is compared to the fog. So because of anarthas and ignorance, we can't experience that full Shuddha Nam. We experience the dim light of the holy name, which is called Namabhas. This condition or Namabhas brings many auspicious benefits to the world. Which condition? when the light of the sun is reflected through the clouds or fog. So this is called which type of namabhas? This is Chaya namabhas. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying here, Chaya namabhas brings auspicious benefit. That means Chaya namabhas will gradually bring Shuddha Nam also. When the clouds and fog disappear, Shuddha Nam will come. However, when the light of the holy name is reflected in the lake of Mayavad philosophy, that is called Pratibimba Namabhas, the reflection of the holy name. Okay? So Chaya Namabhas means we are not able to chant that Shuddha Nam because of anarthas, because of agyan, ignorance. But Pratibimba Namabhas is dangerous because the sun of the holy name is reflected on the lake of wrong philosophy or wrong aspiration, right? It is called Pratibimba Abhas. This is Mayavad philosophy. From Pratibimba Abhas, from Pratibimba Namabhas may come impersonal liberation and other results. So if someone is chanting the holy name, but he has an idea of merging into the supreme, right? And he has all this Mayavad understanding, then his chanting is called Pratibimba Namabhas. For such a person, he may attain liberation, he may attain mukti, right? But what he will not attain? However, pure love for Krishna, which is the final benefit obtained from the holy name, never comes from Pratibimba Namabhas. So through Pratibimba Namabhas, one may attain impersonal liberation, but pure love for Krishna. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains here, what is the final benefit of chanting? Like all of us are chanting Hare Krishna, we need to understand what are we looking for? What is our final benefit? Are we looking for liberation? Are we looking for enjoyment? What are we looking for? We are looking for Krishna Prem. Just like Lord Chaitanya says, Na Dhanam, Na Janam, Na Sundarim, Kavita Va Jagadisha Kamaye, Mama Janmani, Janmanishware, Bhavatat Bhaktir Ahetuki Tvayi. Lord Chaitanya says, I don't want enjoyment in this world, neither I want liberation. So then why we are chanting the holy name? Because we want service to Krishna and we want to achieve love for Krishna. So love for Krishna will come only through Chaya Namabhas, not through Pratibimba Namabhas. This kind of Namabhas is actually a great offense to the holy name. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying that even though Pratibimba Namabhas falls in the category of Shraddha Namabhas, but actually it is very offensive. It is actually a Namaparad, right? So Bhaktivinoda Thakur doesn't encourage, or Haridas Thakur doesn't encourage Pratibimba Namabhas. It is considered a offense to the holy name. What is encouraged is Chaya Namabhas. Therefore, it is not said to be true Namabhas. Right? See, just see one sentence, so much clarification is coming. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying here, Pratibimba Namabhas, even though it's put in the category of Namabhas, it is actually not true Namabhas. The only true Namabhas is Chaya Namabhas, the shadow of the holy name, which is of 4 kinds. So the only true Namabhas is Chaya Namabhas, the shadow of the holy name. Throwing Pratibimba Namabhas far away, all the scriptures worship Chaya Namabhas. So all the scriptures recommend to throw this Mayavad philosophy. Don't chant to attain liberation, to become one with the Lord. Just like in Lord Chaitanya's Leela, there is this very beautiful pastime when Raghunath Bhatta Goswami was coming to Jagannath Puri to meet Lord Chaitanya. On his way, he met a very great devotee of Lord Ram. This person's name was Ramachandra Vipra, a very great devotee of Lord Ram. Throughout the day and night, he would keep chanting the name of Lord Ram, keep chanting pastimes of Ramayan. Very humble person. So Raghunath Bhatta Goswami became very happy that I've got a very nice companion to go to Jagannath Puri. And throughout their entire way, they were discussing the pastimes of Lord Ram, chanting the names of Lord Ram. And this Ramdas Vipra was so humble, he told Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, I will carry all your luggage. So he actually carried the luggage of Raghunath Bhatta Goswami. So when both of them came to Jagannath Puri, Both of them came to meet Lord Chaitanya in Gambhira. But Lord Chaitanya, he didn't even look at Ramdas Vipra. He just greeted Raghunath Bhatta Goswami. He didn't even look at him. So Raghunath Bhatta Goswami was thinking, such a great devotee of Lord Ram, but Lord Chaitanya is not even looking at him. Why? Because Lord Chaitanya knew Ramdas Vipra is continuously chanting the name of Lord Ram, but in his heart, his desire is to become one with Ram. That means he wants to become Ram. He's chanting the name of Ram to become Ram. So this kind of chanting is called Pratibimba Nama Bhas. So the scriptures don't recommend this kind of chanting. So one should chant only with the desire to serve Krishna, with no other ulterior desires. So throwing Pratibimba Namabhas far away, all the scriptures worship Chaya Namabhas. Chaya Namabhas comes from anarthas born from ordinary ignorance. So Chaya Namabhas and Shuddha Nam, what is the difference? In Shuddha Nam, there is no anartha, there is no agyan, no ignorance. But in Chaya Namabhas, you are chanting the holy name with great faith, but anarthas and ignorance are there. Therefore, you can't experience the full light of the holy name. Pratibimba Namabhas, which is born from wicked philosophical misconceptions, is considered an offense that blocks the true holy name. So again, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is making this point that Pratibimba Namabhas, it is coming from wicked philosophical misconceptions, wrong misconceptions. This Mayavad understanding is very, very dangerous. Mayavad bhasha shunile hoila sarvanash. So if you associate with Mayavadis, everything is finished. So just like Ramdas Vipra, Raghunath Bhatta Goswami also couldn't understand that he was a Mayavadi, continuously chanting the holy name of Krishna, holy name of Ram. So therefore, you can't make out who is following Mayavad philosophy. So it doesn't depend purely on the action. It depends on the intention. Why is he doing it? So that intention also should be very pure. A Vaishnava Praya or Vaishnava Abhas is a neophyte or a materialistic devotee who does not commit the offense of following the Mayavad philosophy. So he's saying Pratibimba Namabhas is a great offense and it blocks the holy name completely. One doesn't get the mercy of the holy name. So similarly, who is a Vaishnava Abhas or Vaishnava Praya? Vaishnava Praya means almost a Vaishnava or trying to be a Vaishnava. So who is the one who is trying to be a Vaishnava or Vaishnava Praya or Vaishnava Abhas? One who may have material desires, but he doesn't commit the offense of Mayavad philosophy. He doesn't follow Pratibimba Namabhas. He's following Namabhas. He's trying to avoid the offenses. It's not pure chanting, but it is because of his anarthas and ignorance, not due to wicked, malicious, wrong intentions. Right? Such a person is honored as a true devotee of the Lord. So who's honored as a true devotee of the Lord? Anyone who is sincerely trying to chant without offenses, and especially he's trying to avoid the Mayavad philosophy. Such a person is considered to be a true devotee of the Lord. And why not? By associating with saintly devotees, he will quickly attain great auspiciousness. So why? Because he will soon become a great soul if he continues the association of devotees. Shipram bhavati dharmatma shashvat dharma nigacchati. Kaunteya pratijanehi name bhakta pranashyati. So Krishna tells in the Gita, in the 9th chapter, Krishna says that even if my devotee, by chance he commits some mistake, some fall down happens because of anarthas, because of ignorance, such a person should still be considered a devotee. Why? Because his faith is intact. He is not taking shelter of wrong philosophy. He's committing wrong acts because these anarthas are still not gone. These anarthas are troubling him. So such a person, such a devotee who is trying and struggling with his anarthas should be honored as a devotee, because very soon, Shipram Bhavati Dharmatma, he will become a devotee very soon. Kaunteya Pratijanehi Name Bhakta Pranashyati. For such a devotee, he will not be lost in his bhakti. He will 100% attain success. The pure devotee, Shuddha Bhakta, will befriend him and have mercy on him as one has mercy on a beginner or a child. So the Shuddha Bhaktas, the great devotees, will be merciful to whom? One who is chanting Chaya Namabhas, not Pratibimba Namabhas. Just like Lord Chaitanya was merciful to Raghunath Bhatta, he completely rejected Ramdas Vipra. Why? Because Ramdas Vipra was following the Mayavad philosophy. So devotees are very merciful to those who don't offend the Lord. So you may have lot of anarthas, you may have lot of conditionings, still we are an okay candidate. We have great hope. But if someone takes shelter of the Mayavad philosophy, such a person a devotee doesn't even look at. It was very difficult to convince, very difficult to preach to these people. Only very great souls, very pure souls who have lot of mercy can convert such people. Right? Otherwise, it's very difficult. Then they will not treat him with contempt as the Mayavadis do. The beginner who has only ordinary faith is first engaged only in deity worship. So a guru will engage his disciple properly in the 9 limbs of devotional service, and especially deity worship. So deity worship is recommended for the kanishtas, or devotees who are beginners, because through deity worship there is purification that happens. Mind and senses become regulated, become clean, right? And therefore someone can even chant the holy name. Then as he makes advancement, he becomes engaged in serving the Supreme Lord and the devotees, right? So the Bhagavatam gives definition of these three, Kanishta, Madhyam and Uttama, in this way, that Kanishta Adhikari has more faith in deity worship. A Madhyam Adhikari has faith in deity worship. He serves the Supreme Lord, but he also befriends with other Vaishnavas. He makes friends with other Vaishnavas, serves them, and he shows compassion to the fallen souls, those who are not in the path of Krishna consciousness. In this way, he attains true knowledge of his relationship with the Lord. This gives him the gift of true devotion, bhakti. So in this way means gradually, if someone follows this path of bhakti, he may be initially in the Nam Aparaj stage, but if he's trying to avoid offenses, then he comes to the stage of Chaya Namabhas. And if he tries to stay away from Mayavad philosophy, so such a person with association of devotees and with regular satsang, Krishna, Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhya Kabunai, Shravanadi Shuddha Chitte Karya Uday. So if such a person continuously waters that seed of bhakti with association of devotees, with chanting the holy name, such a person gradually will understand his relationship with the Lord. This gives him the gift of true devotion. That true devotion is given to whom? One who has Chaya Namabhas, not Pratibimba Namabhas. However, if it is seen that he has unflinching faith in the Mayavad philosophy, the neophyte should be shunned. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying here, if someone has faith in Mayavad philosophy, just leave that person. Show mercy to someone who is more innocent, whose faith is more innocent. So we'll open up for question answers, because after this will be a little easier. Till now, if there is anything that someone has not understood, there is some clarification needed, we can discuss and then we can go ahead. Yeah. So anyone wants to ask anything or add anything? Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, my question is, we have heard that not chanting attentively is also an offense, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So the thing is, as we are not attentive all the time while we are chanting, so we are already doing so many offenses, doing it repeatedly, while we are trying to avoid other 10 offenses to the holy name. So when we are already doing so much offenses, then how can we get released from the offenses, especially not chanting attentively, and we reach to the stage of namabhas? It's I guess it's very difficult actually.
Yeah, definitely it's very difficult, but then we will see in the chapters ahead. There are these 10 offenses So all these 10 offenses are discussed in detail, what that offense is and what is the solution for each offense. It is discussed.
Yes.
So therefore, uh, yeah, just so therefore, if we are trying, see, our mind is not under our control, correct? We are conditioned souls. Mind is too powerful. It's not so. Krishna also knows it. So when it is said that inattentive chanting is an offense, that means some amount of inattention will invariably happen, correct? Because we are still not on that Shuddha Nam. So perfect attention will happen only in Shuddha Nam. So what is expected of us is we try our best to avoid offenses, to avoid inattention. That is what is recommended. And we will, as I told you, as we go ahead in this book, each of this offense, in fact, from the next chapter, yes, the next chapter itself is the first offense, right? So when we go chapter by chapter ahead, we will see each of the offense more in detail, and then Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Haridas Thakur also gives solution to overcome each of the offense. And we will come to that offense also of inattentive chanting. That also will come here. And then when we come to that chapter, we will see what are the solutions they offer also.
Okay. Thank you so much, Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Yes. But who?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat.
Prabhuji, during the Mayapur Yatra, we visited the Shantipur, the opposite Advaita Acharya's house. That time in the lecture, it was said that the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu beat Advaita Acharya with a stick for for propagating, I think, Yoga Vashishta. So my question here is, I think it is Mayavadi philosophy. So whether it comes under Pratibimba Namavas?
Oh, Advaita Acharyas.
Yes, yes.
Oh, that was Advaita Acharya just enacted that pastime because see, Advaita Acharya, he was very senior in age to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, very elderly, right?
Yes.
But he considered himself the servant of Lord Chaitanya. But Lord Chaitanya would always treat him with great respect. So Advaita Acharya was thinking, when will Lord Chaitanya accept me as a servant? He's always honoring me. He's not treating me as a servant. So I want to experience that rasa. Lord Chaitanya should accept me as a servant. So therefore, the only way Advaita Acharya knew 100% he was sure was, if I do a drama of teaching Mayavad philosophy, Lord Chaitanya will become so angry that he will punish me, right? And then he will treat me, he will forget all his respect and treat me as a servant. So therefore, Advaita Acharya made this drama of teaching Mayavad philosophy, and then Lord Chaitanya becomes so angry, saying that I was sleeping in the ocean of milk. You called me because of your prayer. I came here, and this is what you're doing. And Lord Chaitanya started to kick Advaita Acharya, started to kick him, beat him like anything. And then Advaita Acharya became so happy that finally my desire is fulfilled. Now Lord Chaitanya has forgotten all his respect and he's accepted me as a servant. So that was just a pastime because Advaita Acharya wanted to experience that particular flavor of rasa with Lord Chaitanya.
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Anyone else has anything, any other question? Okay. If no question, did you all understand what is clear? There's one question in the chat box that if once a Vaishnava Aparadh is committed, the pure holy name will never appear. Is it true? No, it is not that it will never appear. If it is never appear, then none of us have any hope. So we may commit offenses to Vaishnavas, but it is also important that we try to avoid that mentality. And anytime we commit an offense, we should also try to ask forgiveness, right? So in that way, it will come. If you commit an offense, the process is you go and ask forgiveness. we will see in the next chapter, there is a criticism of Vaishnavas that come. And we will see what is the solution that Bhaktivinoda Thakur offers. So this is like the essence, that if we commit an offense to a Vaishnava, we should immediately go and try to ask forgiveness, And if you do that, the holy name will appear. But it is very important to have this mood of always thinking that I am committing offense. So therefore, to always have this mood of asking forgiveness. Like Srila Prabhupada, in the final stage of his life, Prabhupada asked forgiveness from all his disciples. Because he was a guru, many times he would correct his disciples, many times he would chastise his disciples. He would have to do it, right? Guru, manager, doing so many things together. But at the end of his life, Prabhupada asked forgiveness, that if I have done anything that has hurt you, please forgive me. Only with your blessings, I will be able to go into the spiritual world. That was the mood. Haridas Thakur, when he was leaving his body, he asked blessings and forgiveness from all devotees. Tukaram Maharaj did that. So this is the mood that every devotee should have. So if we have this mood of always asking forgiveness, then we will not commit offense, right? But if there is a lot of ego and we don't want to ask forgiveness only, then some of the other offense we will commit and we may not achieve that pure holy name. So if someone is really thinking about pure holy name, achieving that Shuddha Nam, so then also very important to ask forgiveness for the offenses that we have done. Okay.
Prabhuji, I have one more doubt. That is the Mayavadis. So there are two, I think there are, if I'm understanding is right, there are two categories. The one category has with malicious intentions, they come under aparadha, and the Mayavadis without any malicious intentions come under namabhas, pratibimba namabhas. Is my understanding correct?
Yeah, actually that's what you see. This word Mayavadis, many times it's used in different places in different contexts. So actually, technically speaking, Mayavadis are offenders only. So what you're trying to say is, without malicious intention means if someone wants to achieve Brahma Jyoti, and he doesn't do offense to the Lord.
Yeah.
So such a person is actually technically called Brahmavadi. Right? So Mayavadi means, see, Brahmavadi, he doesn't do offense to Krishna, but he wants to merge into the Brahma Jyoti. That's okay. But Mayavadis, they do offense to Krishna. They think that Krishna is Maya, the form of Krishna, Ram is Maya, right? I am only Krishna, right? Krishna doesn't have any form, like this, So they have different conceptions. So Mayavadis, Lord Chaitanya defined Mayavadi Krishna Aparadhi. So Mayavadi technically is very malicious against Krishna and is an offender, right? But those who want to seek impersonal Brahma Jyoti, yes, they can fall under the Pratibimba Namabhas. Okay, so now that this discussion has come, I will show you all what I was trying to show you all last time. Just give me a second. This is the slide by Balram Shakti. So he, just 1 minute. Let me see if I can, yeah. So if you all can see the slide, so we'll discuss 5 minutes on this slide and then we will end. Okay. So ये भी slide थोड़ा complicated लगता है, but it's actually the same discussion what we did यहाँ पे chart में है. So the holy name, there are different levels of the holy name. Aparad Nam with offenses, Namabhas, Shuddha Nam, and after Shuddha Nam comes Bhava Nam, Prema Nam, chanting the holy name in the stage of Bhava, Prema, like that, right? So in Aparad category, there are two things. Okay, this is another point. You see, generally Srila Prabhupada has defined 3 categories of chanting: offensive, clearing, and pure holy name. Correct? Namaparad, Namabhas, Shuddha Nam. Bhaktivinoda Thakur in this book gives only 2 categories: Namabhas and Shuddha Nam. He puts the offensive chanting also in Namabhas category. But here in the chart that Balram Shakti Prabhu has made, he's put Aparad category separate, right? So what we need to understand is, instead of getting caught in terminologies, we need to understand the principles and concepts, the essence samajhna hai, right? So aparad is of two types. The aparad that the atheists and Mayavadis do. Okay? So like Bhattu was discussing, they have malicious intention towards Krishna. So what is their destination? These Mayavadis go to hell only. They don't achieve impersonal liberation also. They go to hell. The next type of aparad is what devotees do. Right? So this aparad comes because we commit those 10 offenses against the holy name. And why do we commit? Because of carelessness, because of incomplete sambandha gyan, we commit these offenses. So what we have to do, if we try to avoid the offenses, we will come to the category of Chaya Namabhas. Okay, so now if you see, Namabhas has two categories, Shraddha and Ashraddha Namabhas. And in Shraddha Namabhas, there are two categories, Chaya and Pratibimba. So if devotees who commit offenses, if they try to avoid offenses, they will come to Chaya Namabhas. And after Chaya Namabhas, they will achieve Shuddha Nam. And then they will continue ahead, right? So what is in the same Shraddha Namabhas, we saw Chaya Namabhas, whose faith is pure, and there is Pratibimba Namabhas. Pratibimba Namabhas means you are chanting the holy name, but your desire is not to achieve service to Krishna or pure love for Krishna. Your desire is to achieve, either liberation or some other desire, mixed faith, karma mishra bhakti, jnana mishra bhakti, yoga mishra bhakti, like that. Mixed faith, not shuddha bhakti. For such people, they will attain liberation. Either they will attain Vaikunta, Shantarati, Salokya Mukti, merging into the Lord, but they will not get Krishna Prem, those who are Pratibimba Namabhas. Right? So here in this chart, Balram Shakti Prabhu has put Pratibimba Namabhas and the Mayavadi separately. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur, the way he explains is, Bhaktivinoda Thakur calls Pratibimba Namabhas only as an offense. He puts it in the aparad category. Right? So you could categorize it slightly different. It depends on in what context you're using the word Pratibimba. If Pratibimba means Mayavad, then it is an offense. If Pratibimba means mixed bhakti, then it is not an offense. It is only that his aim is not to achieve pure love. Right? And then there is Ashraddha Namabhas, which we discussed at the start of this chapter. Sanketyam, Parihasyam, Stobham, Helanam. Right? Someone who chants the holy name without any faith, as fun, as mockery, like that. So such people achieve impersonal liberation. Right? So any of y'all have any questions based on this chart? You all can go through this chart if you all want. The same thing what we discussed in this book. It's not that there is something new in it. The same thing is put in the form of a chart. Hope I didn't confuse you all. But sometimes confusion is also good. From confusion, clarity comes. Yes, Vikram.
Krishna Prabhu.
Yeah.
What is that Shlokya Mukti? What does that mean?
Sayujya. Where you saw?
In
Salokya Mukti.
Salokya Mukti, yes. What does that mean?
Salokya. Okay. So there are 5 kinds of muktis. One is called Sayujya Mukti. Sayujya Mukti means merging into impersonal Brahma Jyoti. That's called impersonal liberation. That's called Sayujya Mukti. Then there is Salokya, attaining the same planet as the Lord. Salokya. Then there is Sarishti. Sarishti Mukti means achieving the same kind of opulence as the Lord in Vaikunta. Then there is Samipya, being very close to the Lord. Samipya Mukti. And then there is Sarupya, right? You attain the same form as the Lord, just like the Vishnu Dutas have the same form. So these are 5 kinds of Mukti. So generally devotees don't prefer Sayujya Mukti, impersonal liberation. But the other 4 are okay with devotees. That is Salokya, attaining the same planet as that of the Lord.
Thank you, Bro.
Yeah. Anything else? Okay, I think we'll end here. Today's discussion has been definitely a little technical, but just 2-3 more pages in this chapter. The rest of the chapter will go easy. Just this part, if y'all, just this one footnote is the most technical part. The rest of the chapter is fine. Okay, so we'll end for today. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.